Hello. I figured because the New Year's is coming up, I would make some little video specifically on how to save money quite easily in the coming months because I know like a lot of people make New Year's resolutions. By the way, on that point, mine is to stop drinking alcohol. So if you're a friend of mine and I see you regularly and you offer me any booze whatsoever, I will never ever speak to you again. Okay? My my genuine New Year's resolution is to completely cut back on alcohol, at least for a couple of months, because it just gets in the way of things that I need to do. I love partying. If you know me, you know I love partying. So that's just a point that I just want to get out there. That's my New Year's resolution. But for a lot of people, it will probably be to like save money or at least spend money on more positive things, perhaps like going to the gym, taking up a membership, eating more healthily, which is often more expensive anyway, especially if you're like a vegan or a vegetarian and you want to not only improve your diet, but you want to kind of like expand out, and often those products can be quite costly. So, just with transport and travel aside for a second, if you're a student, this is a simple point for London purely actually. I know a lot of people aren't actually aware of this, and it's kind of crazy for me. I spoke to someone the other day that I know, and they've been travelling around London for a while, for many years actually, and they weren't really aware of this. So, if you have an Oyster card, right, it's obviously cheaper than buying paper tickets, which no one does anyway. But that's a given. However, if you're a student, you are entitled to a student rail card. Now, you can get one that's subsidised by your university, and that would give you 30% off the cost of the rail card. However, there are a lot of other ways to get kind of subsidized cards without just buying it straight up. If you open up a Santander bank account, I believe they've still got the offer on, but they give you a 4-year rail card, which is worth £120, free with that, with kind of like that student account. Now, although you're not supposed to, if you've already got an account with someone like NatWest or Halifax or any other bank in the UK, you can still get another student account. Okay, it's against their policy to do so, but all you do is you walk into the bank, you say, hey, can I have another account? They say, if you already got an account, you say, yeah, I do. It's a current account. It's not a student account. It's just a current account, and it's with whoever your bank is with. And that way you'll be entitled to open up a new student account because they can't cross-check that information. The banks can't share information. That's against the rules. It's against the law. Freedom of information is non-applicable to that. So that's something that you can do. It's really simple. It'll take you like 30 minutes, get a free rail card. But then if you go to a TfL or an underground station in London, London Bridge, Waterloo, St Pancras International, those big stations it will allow you to apply that student rail card, which gives you 33% off, to the Oyster card. So not only have you got the Oyster card already, which saves you money, but every time you tap that Oyster card, it will deduct the 33% off because you've attached the rail card to it. Now, you can also do that with a bank card. If you use like a wireless bank card instead of an Oyster card, which I think is stupid, but if you do that, that's fine. Not only can you apply the discount to your wireless card, but you can actually apply it to both. So let's say you use an Oyster card, but sometimes, I don't know, you lose your Oyster card, or you're on the bus and you haven't topped it up and it maxes out and the driver won't let you on. Although it doesn't apply to the bus because it's a 150 flat fee whether you're a student or not. If you're in that situation on a train, you're going to save money. And on top of that, actually, if you use London Transport on a regular basis, you need to create a goddamn Oyster account online so you can see your history. You can scroll through your journey history, and with a student discount applied to your Oyster card, with that 33% off, it also caps out at £7.60 a day. So that's £7.60 unlimited travel in London, trains, buses, whatever. Unlimited travel for £7.60. And what's really good about an online account is often the machines don't scan your card properly, whether it's a bank or an Oyster card is irrelevant, and you get a huge fee sometimes. You look at your history and they've charged you for like an adult daily rate, which is like £5.60, or £15, £16, whatever it is. And sometimes if you forget to tap out for whatever reason, if it's late at night and the barriers are open and you just walk straight through, you're going to get a penalty fare, which is the maximum fare, which can often be like £5 for one journey. But if you go on Oyster, and actually I have to say, because TfL and just train companies in general are renowned for being shit when it comes to customer services and delayed transportation and cancellations or whatever. We hate them. Southern Rail is a prime example of this. But if you actually phone up and you go through your history and you've been overcharged, and you literally phone up, you go straight through and you just say, hey, I've been overcharged, I didn't mean to not tap out, this, that and the other. They're so unbelievably helpful because they're fucking pocketing so much of your cash anyway, because no one bothers to do this, especially people that are kind of like on high paid salaries or whatever. They don't care about phoning up over like 6-7 quid. But if you're a student and you've just been charged like an extra 8 quid for the day, that can be significant if that's happening 2-3 times a week. So just phone them up and they'll often refund you and they give you compensation. It would take like 20 minutes out of your life, and 8-9 quid for 20 minutes is way better than fucking minimum wage. So it's something you should do. So that was quite an important point to make, I think, because it's surprising how many students don't make the most of that. So that aside, going back to travel just for the minute, and by travel I mean flights and trains and buses and whether they're domestic or international. Now is the time to book if you're planning on making a trip abroad in the coming 6, 7, 8 months. It's this time of year. Sorry, it's Christmas holidays. It's the New Year's holidays coming up. You need to think about where you want to go, how you want to get there, roughly the time that you're gonna spend in whatever place is on your mind, and get onto the sites tonight or within the next week or so. I would say that generally speaking, airlines and travel agencies and just businesses in general will have their sales over the coming week. New Year's especially, not so many companies tend to focus on kind of Boxing Day sales. However, New Year's is a big time, especially if you want a new laptop or anything, new clothes, new chinos, whatever. Who cares? Fucking use the money that you've made from Christmas presents or whatever it is, or you've saved up. And spend it wisely, because honestly, like, you're going to be able to get flights like I posted up today, Iceland, £40 return, stuff like that. Is going to be springing up throughout the next week or so. So yeah, you need to do that. And kind of as it's the start of a new year, you should really be focusing, especially if you're kind of like unemployed, or you want to make a bit more money, or you want to save up for a big trip, or something expensive, or a gift for your partner, or a wedding, I don't care, whatever it is. You need to use, if you have a London apartment, whether you're sharing with people or not isn't really relevant. If you've got a place that you can rent out in London, get an Airbnb account. It is amazing how much money you can make from Airbnb. If you're in the home or not, it doesn't really matter. Like, if you want to make an extra bit of cash and you want to say, hey, I've got a spare couch, or I'm away for the weekend, and your housemates are there or whatever, you can rent that room out for like 50-60 quid, especially if it's well located within London, next to transport links or whatever. A double room, 2 people sharing, 60 quid's cheap. That's nothing compared to some of the hotels. And often, if you are staying there and you have got a free couch, and you put your place up for a backpacker or someone like that, you can make 15-20 quid a night. And often people would prefer to have more space to themselves through spending an extra 5-6 quid, 5-6 quid more than a hostel, to have a more kind of personalised accommodation experience. That really is something that's super popular. Airbnb is worth $18 billion for a reason. So many people do this. Don't have to worry about kind of rapists or murderers or thieves coming into your house and stealing all your shit. It does not happen, believe it or not. I mean, obviously it does happen, but it's not a kind of common. It's not common. Okay. God, this is turning into a rant. 9 minutes. Okay, so yeah, so the Airbnb, transport in London. There's a lot of discounts that you can get. If you're a student, get an Nectar card, especially considering if you're a goldsmith. So I know Sainsbury's is right opposite. I know you guys shop in there for pizzas every day and you're spending like 10 quid. And on that, the bigger Sainsbury's is cheaper than the local Sainsbury's, and the Aldi and the Lidl is cheaper than the Sainsbury's and the Tesco's and whatever. So you really need to spend your money wisely. And again, just for goldsmith students specifically, instead of getting like a meal deal for 3 quid, you can actually buy something that's more nutritious, especially from Iceland, like some kind of rice dish with veg and a decent amount of sustenance in it. And they do have kitchen facilities at the uni. Yeah, you're thinking, whoa, where are they? Yeah, no one knows. The student union has like 7 microwaves, so frankly you can go and get a rice meal, which is going to cost you a third of the price of some bacon and fucking lettuce sandwich or whatever from Sainsbury's. You know, if you're doing that 2-3 times a day over the course of a week, the same with coffee. Bring your own coffee and use the coffee facilities. You're going to save so much money. And actually, in the new academic building on top of the hill, actually, I found out from David, there is a kitchen at the back that you can use. I mean, a functioning kitchen with more facilities than what they have at the student union. So there's that. God, 10.5 minutes. Okay, another thing, apps and phones. Now, prior to a month or so ago, I wasn't very good at this because I'm quite a stingy person, as I'm sure you're aware, and I had a really shitty Windows phone, and I couldn't get half the apps because it was a Windows phone and not an Android or an Apple phone. So, unfortunately, I wasn't able to download half the stuff that's available to you. But especially if you're kind of working freelance, or you're making the most of research, which is something I'm going to do a separate video on because this is already 11 minutes. This is what I do on top of exploiting the fuck out of the system to make money. This is why I'm able to travel, because there is an untapped market in London. Being kind of an educative hub, full of foreign students and just students in general, and research and money, and it's one of the greatest capital cities on earth. There is there is this database. There are multiple databases which allow you to show up whenever you want to make a little bit of extra cash, to participate in psychology, PhD research, and their money comes from the EU Commission, so it's all tax-free. It's usually like double minimum wage, sometimes it's triple. It's dependent on what you want to get involved in. This isn't medical research, by the way. This isn't like someone taking your blood and taking pictures of the insides of your body, or stuff like that. It's not that. If you wanted to do that, you totally can, and the money is fucking amazing. But aside from that, you can make a lot of cash through just sitting in a chair, filling out questionnaires for masters and PhD students across various institutions in London, and not just London, everywhere in the UK, and not just in the UK, in Europe as well. You can actually go and use University of Amsterdam's Sona research system if you're in the area, perhaps if you're on holiday and you've got nothing to do for your last day or something and you want to make like 50 quid. This is so important in the 21st century now for people that travel like me. You can, if you want to, form a trip, structure your trip so it orientates itself around various institutions that have online Sona system databases and that offer paid research in and around Europe. So let's say I wanted to travel for a week, and I wanted to make money along the way. Not only can you do these online if you know how to do it and where to look, but you could, for instance, go from Warsaw to Berlin, from Berlin to Hamburg to Amsterdam, and get paid for doing a couple of hours of research along the way, which will pay for your transport and often your hostel or food, because what you should be doing is you should be couch surfing. Okay, I just wanted to make a 15-minute video really, and just to kind of like conclude it, as it's 13:40, you need to spend a lot of time online tonight and over the coming days. Look at skyscanner.net, which primarily focuses on domestic flights and local budget flights, international budget flights. If you're looking for a big long distance trip, kayak.com has so many more offers than Skyscanner when it comes to like flights to Australia or New Zealand or more obscure kind of places in and around the Caribbean or South America, whatever. Kayak will beat Skyscanner hands down. However, Skyscanner gives you the option to search month to month or throughout the year without having to include a specific date through the desktop app. There's been some problems with the Android mobile application at the moment, so I wouldn't use it for that. I'm quite shocked at how bad it is, so I would leave that out. Try and use the desktop, and just check at 11 to 12 tonight whether there are offers on your favourite airline. You can do it through Skyscanner, but if you know a specific airline that you want to use, just check it out. It's worth it. Ryanair, Wizz Air, the big budget airlines in Europe, are going to have offers for sure in the coming week. I'll try my best to post as many up as possible. But in the meantime, just have a little think about what you want, whether it's travel related or not, whether it's a laptop, doesn't really matter. now is the time to get it, and that will last you for the next year or so. So make the most of it. All the best. Bye.